Thank you for joining. We are now going to be shifting to the second part of today's discussion where we get to talk with the brands about what they're doing. So I'm really excited because we've got another fantastic group of panelists today. I will quickly introduce myself so you know who I am, and then I will pass it over to our panelists to introduce themselves. But my name is Taylor Rodriguez. I'm the Global VP of Customer Experience at Traackr, and I'm super excited to invite 3 experts on stage with us to talk a little bit about the brand experience. And so today we have Nal Jones, who's the VP of Consumer Engagement and Content of the Consumer Products Division at L'Oreal. We also have Lana Gregg with us, Director of Social Media and Influencer at NYX Cosmetics. And we also have Nikki Martinez, Associate Influencer Manager at Neutrogena. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We are so excited that you're here today. I know that we're going to have a ton of questions for you coming out of the last discussion. And I'm really excited to dig into some of your wins from 2024, as well as your predictions for this year. But first, let's start with giving an intro to the audience, a little bit about your background and how you got into the role that you are in today. So now let's start with you.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone. Nal Jones. So I've been at L'Oreal now for almost 10 years, but I started my career in the agency world. So I spent a number of years doing communications planning and media planning, and then doing a digital generalist ever since. Throughout my time at L'Oreal, I've touched advocacy and influence and some other things, and it's now my full role here at L'Oreal.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us. Lana, let's pass it over to you.
Hi there. I'm Lana Gregg. I lead the social influencer departments at NYX Cosmetics. I have been at L'Oreal for 4 years. Wow, this is my first time counting in a long time. But yeah, I've been at L'Oreal for 4 years. I've been in talent for over 10 years. So it's, something I'm truly passionate about and genuinely enjoy.
Amazing. And Nikki?
Hi, everyone. My name's Nikki Martinez. I'm an associate influencer manager at Neutrogena. I have been at Neutrogena for almost 2 years, but been in the beauty influencer space my entire career. I'm very lucky that I started out at agency where I was able to start in influencer marketing, and I knew I wanted to be here forever. So I started there, had a little stint at a startup. You guys might know it's Bubble, at Bubble Skincare, and then went back to agency life. And now I made my way back in-house at Neutrogena, where I absolutely love it.
Amazing. Well, welcome. And thank you guys for joining us. And most importantly, congratulations for being in the top beauty brand list for this year. So we're super excited to talk to the experts. And where I would love for us to start today would be if we take a look back at 2024, what is one campaign that truly defined your year? So Nikki and Lana, let's start with you.
Yeah, I could take this one first. Last year, our main campaign that defined us was our Collagen Bank launch. Collagen Bank was our newest product innovation, basically a moisturizer with peptides that penetrates to your skin and helps boost your collagen. So totally new product for Neutrogena, and we were able to activate a 360 campaign, which I wish all campaigns can be 360. Sometimes we can't do it, but we were able to do it here. And we really hit all the stops with it. We had our celebrity ambassador, Haley Steinfeld, join us and have her strengths work for us with her audience and her power. And then we had our gifting campaign, which was super important for us as well, because this is a new product. We really wanted to get into the hands of everybody. We also had our paid campaign, of course, supplemented by a organic campaign as well, which we continuously do here in Neutrogena. And then on top of that, we had an amazing event. So event in New York specifically, where we had like some fashion creators that also like beauty join the mix. And it was amazing. And these creators got to meet Haley Steinfeld in person as well. So this event really defined us because we really were able to pull out all the stops and use each creator to like their strength. Like we had our gifting creators, our mega celebrity creator. We had our Hispanic market creator, Kat Stickler, as well, who joined in on all this fun. And it really helped us to boost in metrics and VIT for 2024. And overall, it was just a successful campaign that, again, was 360 for us.
Amazing. I love that campaign. Thanks. And Lana, over to you.
Yeah. If I could use one word to describe us for this year, I would say the word is agility. And we move at the speed of light. That is something that we do. It's definitely our superpower. And I think one of my favorite campaigns, which was a great display of that this year, was our face-to-face campaign with PPG from Love Island. If you know, you know. One of the things that happened, our part of our secret sauce is listening to our audience and reacting to what they want, so that we can guarantee that success and make sure that we're providing the content we know they're going to engage with. And we kept getting tagged in PPG comments like, Nyx, these are Nyx girlies. You need to work with them. And we're like, all right, you know what? We're going to make it happen. And literally in a span of 2 weeks, we were able to shoot an entire production around just basically a fun, chatty get ready with me, where the, team engaged with one another, having a friendly conversation while promoting one of our latest launches, Face Glue, which is all about, long wear and longevity. And we know that they are party girls. So it was just all kismet that it came together. But our ability to move fast, listen to our audiences, and really leverage those conversations for that true, genuine, rich engagement is definitely something that is key to us. It was key to us in 24 and continues to be throughout 25.
Amazing. 2 weeks is incredible. That's like unheard of in the influencer world. So bravo, nice work. I love to see it. And now it might be a little bit more difficult for you to answer this question because obviously you oversee a number of different brands, but maybe if you just had to pick one or two, could you share a couple of campaigns that stick out to you?
I mean, so many of our brands have done a lot of different things this year. I think tagging on to Lana's point, as well as, Nikki mentioned as well, is really starting to lean into what are things that we're doing with pop culture and how are we paying attention to what consumers are talking about and want to hear about, and how are our brands jumping into the conversation in the best way they can. So we have a lot of things that we've done, as Lana mentioned, with Love Island. Maybelline is a sponsor of the SNL 50th anniversary, so the 50th season. So they've done a lot of leaning into with SNL actors and actresses of being part of like building content from that perspective, and then leveraging that in social placement. So and letting other people, letting them have fun with the concept of beauty content. Whether that is meant to be fun or be different or making fun of the brand. And I do think that has been like openness to have a little bit of fun and not take things too serious and really focus on driving engagement and having a little bit of fun. If I could pick one other, it's a lot of the work we've been doing with Essie. And I think from an Essie nail polish perspective, it's been much more focused on, the grassroots of finding creators in that niche of nail and really helping support them and bringing more of that to life, really thinking more about color theory and what's happening. How are we looping into trend in the right way as well with our creator partners, so that if it's a color that's normally about, makeup, how do we make it a nail story as well? And then partnering with creators to tell that story.
I love that. Amazing. Thank you. And so if you were to narrow your brand success into one key component of your influencer marketing strategy, what would it be? Nikki, let's start with you.
Yeah, for us, it would definitely be honing in on creator tiers and their strengths. We've been able to really find which tier does best with organic content, which tier does best with gifting. And it's down to a science with us. And we work with Traackr very closely to figure out those tiers for us. And I believe each brand and each company is going to have different tiers that work stronger in gifting or paid. So that's totally up for you guys to dive into. But for us, it was figuring that out, and it just unlocked a new strategy for us. One example being mid-tier creators specifically being really great for paid for us. The return on investment is great. And it's not always really black and white with each tier being strictly paid or strictly organic. But it's just really helped us to work to make good creative and to make sure that these creators aren't forcing them into a box that they're not usually working in. So that's really been helpful for us this year.
That's amazing. Yeah, we talk a lot about tier strategy, but I love hearing that this is such a core component of your program. Amazing. And Lana, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with Nikki. I think we've definitely talked influencer tier a lot this year. We know the importance of engaging all tiers, but it's knowing at what point to leverage what tier, where are they going to win? Where are we going to see their magic? So I think that is extremely important. And I also think leaning into engagement is a big, big thing for us. It's one thing. I mean, I know you as a brand, we always have to constantly find the balance between viewership and engagement, always. However, I will say that actually digging deeper into engagement and looking at what is getting our audience to move, how they're receiving something, is extremely important. And that has definitely helped to shape all of the campaigns that we've done this year.
Well, and going back to your point about cultural relevance, that probably helps ensure that you're not only bringing the right type of content, but you're really leaning into that to ensure that you're receiving the right type of engagement. So Absolutely. It makes complete sense. And now, what about you? And obviously, again, sort of broader question because you oversee a number of brands.
I think both Alana and Nikki have kind of hit the tail end ahead on what has worked in the past year. So thinking about tiers, increasing your exposure with mid-tier and also micro and nano creators as well. So how are we starting to build full, you use the term full funnel across other aspects, but it really is starting to think about that for how we build our partnerships with creators. So I would think that has been key, but I would add the ability to be nimble and adjust when things change. It was a huge year of change across how things work. Is this going to happen? Is this not going to work? And being, really taking the time to partner with creators and understanding sometimes, engagements were slow last year in certain areas because of the platforms themselves, not necessarily. Right. So it was an impact on both brands and creators, but it's so how do we work together to combat that? So I think building strong relationships on the business side with creators has been really important for us. And then also just learning to be nimble and move quickly.
Yes. And so this is actually a great segue into where the industry is headed. So I love to focus on forward thinking now. So data from Traackr's recent US Impact Report, which surveyed 1,000 millennial and Gen Z consumers, showed us that consumers rank YouTube as their number one platform for consuming creator content. Mm-hmm. And I think, we've talked a bit about 2025 predictions, and we have heard a lot of this long form YouTube video content coming back. And if you're sort of an old school, if you're from the old school influencer days, it might bring a little warm spot to your heart. Personally, it does for me. But why do you think that YouTube and long form videos are making a comeback after this huge trend of short form, sub 3-minute content really sort of dominating the space over the last few years?
Oh boy. I think there's a few things. I think one is the recognition to go a little bit deeper. I think we've come off of the push of, I need to know everything quickly. I need to understand. And it's the TikTok made me buy it way of thinking, and then getting to the wait, do I need this? Do I need some more information? How do I have a more detailed conversation? And I want to go a little bit deeper and be more thorough. I also think that from a creator standpoint, it's I've heard this all the time. I've been hearing it since the end of last year, but I think the ability to think about YouTube Shorts in a way, I think makes it a little bit easier, because we remember the heyday of the beauty guru on YouTube was the massive amount of work, the work required to
right.
manage a YouTube channel is a lot, but I think being able to say and understand, okay, we can tell a longer story, we can be a little bit more open in that, and then be able to cut it down into multiple pieces that can run in shorts, makes it easier, as opposed to, I got to put out a 30 to hour long video every other day to make sure that I show up. And so I think that's definitely something. From a brand perspective, I would say I have noticed for me that YouTube communities tend to be the most strong. So when it comes to engagement and really creator trust, I think YouTube tends to be a much stronger area, even if it's not as high follower base. And I've heard it from YouTube creators as well that, their YouTube audience is like a family. And it's these are people who know and will back. It's you haven't posted in 3 months, but I'm back. So I do know that things that we've been hearing and monitoring recently.
Yeah. And I mean, I think what we know from a consumer perspective is that the people who go to YouTube are really invested either in the creator or finding a specific type of content. So they're really invested in one of those two things, which makes a lot of sense that you would say what you're saying about the community side of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm with you, Taylor. I'm a little bit, I remember the heyday, but also like is my TV. So I'm a little bit biased.
And Lana, what's the Nick's perspective?
I definitely have to agree with Niall. Like, no one goes harder for these creators than the YouTube audiences that are there for them. I think just that allegiance and that loyalty that we see there, it's like no other platform. I think that they're genuinely there for that creator and want to see everything, want to support them in everything and see their life milestones, like them having a baby or getting married or, all these big things. It's like they're genuinely like an extended family member for them, So I love seeing that. I think also the appetite for genuine connections has increased as far as like social media consumers. It's like, and seeing is believing, right? So I think that no other place offers the opportunity for that than YouTube, where that long form content is going to exist and essentially is part of the DNA of YouTube, So I think that people are seeking, genuine creators. It's like, can I trust you? Can I trust what you're saying about this product? How much do you know about this product? So YouTube provides the space for creators to put it all out there and show their genuine selves and bear it all. And I think that that's why a lot of people are consuming more content over there.
Yeah. I would also add to your point, Lana, of the ability to see efficacy over time, because it's much more as opposed to here, I've done it, it's done. It's like to see over time and have the conversation over time of, we talk about like credentialing or torture tests or other things. It's like you can tell that story in a more authentic way in the long form than you can in short form.
Absolutely.
Right. And Nikki, what are your thoughts about YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube, again, it's where the community's at, where all the loyalists go. I think there's been an influx of creators, and now people are finding like their comfort creators who they really love, and they're following them on all platforms. Then they follow them on YouTube because they don't just want to see the 20-second get ready with me. They want to see every single step, how that creator applies their makeup, how they put their skincare on. I know at least I do that. So I think that's where the true loyalists, and that's where the conversion lies on YouTube. I feel like that's a great place, and YouTube's amping it up with all the tactics that they're giving creators. For Neutrogena, we find that YouTube Shorts works really well for us, which was another key unlocking for us because it's kind of like still, I feel like a Wild West YouTube Shorts. Sometimes videos go up and you're like, is it going to hit? And then another perspective is just that I feel like YouTube is kind of like short form Netflix. Like we're all used to looking at videos on our laptop now. So maybe it's just a shorter form of a TV show.
Yeah. And do you think maybe that it creates different opportunities for brands or creators?
Yes, definitely. I feel like now creators are able to get paid more on YouTube, which is great, more incentive for them to be on there. There's more ways for them to show their work through bumper ads, through just integration to their video shorts. They can now link products really efficiently. Like the product will show up at the bottom of their details, which is really nice for a consumer. There's just more incentive for them to be on there. And then that makes us brands want to go to YouTube as well, which helps us out as well. Also, again, the loyalists are there. Like if we follow where the loyalists are, that's where conversions happen, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting because when the creator session started, a lot of the metrics that the brands were saying that they're looking at was actually conversions. And so I love seeing that we're not just thinking about top of funnel, we're thinking about bottom funnel activity as well. And so it's interesting to hear that you guys are thinking about this as you're working with creators.
Absolutely. And I think in line of like TikTok Shop and how frictionless that is, I think YouTube is the next point of being having the least amount of friction from, point to conversion as well. So it makes a lot of sense for that to be a strong return of what it's having now from a conversion perspective.
Right. I love it. Yeah. The more data that you can find, especially on the creators who can convert, the more powerful and smarter that you can build your programs. So this is everything that we preach within Traackr. So I love to see it. So when you think about where your brands will be putting their resources in the coming year, both from an organic and paid perspective, how are you approaching this? Is there sort of like a split strategy? Is your strategy changing? Like how it's sort of the way that you have been talking about it so far is that you've got a well-balanced program across the board, but maybe there's different things, from a platform perspective that are making you sort of think about this differently. So what are your thoughts?
I would say everything is a bit, the whole concept is an ecosystem, earned and paid kind of fuel each other. So you can't really ignore one in behest of the other, because it'll either be you don't do enough in the paid perspective, you don't get the viewership and the reach that you need for awareness. But if you only focus on the paid side of it, you wind up dropping authenticity and not really building the relationships with creators, right, who are organically talking about you. So I think from my perspective, it's like it is using this time to find that right balance of, not being too focused on one area or the other, and making sure that we're doing a good effort of rethinking it of earned. We have to do these specific tactics, but looking at earned as like true relationship management. So how are we interacting with creators in that way to drive earned, but it is more about building the right relationships, and then paid continuing to figure out how we optimize that for views, but also engagements, as Lana mentioned.
And Lana, how are you thinking about it?
Yeah, I love what Nael said, because literally the right hand has to help the left. It takes both. And that has to be our magic, especially working in the creator space, is everything everywhere all at once. It just is, but I think that all of us that work in this space, we enjoy that because you get to see a little bit of everything. And it absolutely takes those authentic connections from the organic that I think then go on to influence, other tiers. So it's like, when you, especially, I think that's part of the magic of Traackr, right? It's like you get to see where trends kind of start sometimes, and you'll find a lot of the times this is coming from that nano tier, and they are influencing up. And you have that VIP tier. It's like, I'm going in to recreate that. So it's like, it takes one to get to the other. And I think that we just have to find that balance. And again, I go back to agility. It's as a brand having the ability to move on these conversations or the movement that we see on social, where our audience is engaging, and how we can leverage that from both a paid and organic perspective. So it's all about the balance.
And how does boosting play into this?
I think it's just that. I think that, as a brand, we don't, just boost anything, or boost content that solely comes from ideas that we had. It's literally what our audience is feeling. What are they loving? What are they organically vibing with? We then go on to further invest in that. So I think that strategy just, you'll see it mirrored all across.
Yeah, I think we use boosting as a way to amplify what is already kind of organically bubbling up in our communities, and like creators that are reaching out to us, like or UGC that is just like, oh wow, that was really great. So I think boosting is how we're, dropping in to find those moments and those sparks of like cultural relevance, but creative relevance as well, to literally boost them, versus what we're doing when we have a specific campaign message.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And Nikki, what's Neutrogena's thoughts about how you're thinking about your resources in the coming year?
Yeah, boosting is very important for us, and we lean on it a lot. I feel like we see across the board, boosting is just increasing throughout all companies. So we're up there with them. But we also cannot agree more that it's about a balance of also having organic to pad that boosting. We see organic as a way to connect with creators' audiences in an organic way, and to make meaningful messages, where our boosting posts are really clean and really ad-like and really polished. So we'd like to have both in our mix, and we'll continue to be boosting. And it's just really another important part of our strategy.
Totally agreed. And we are seeing it every day. So moving on to our last and final question, what would be your most provocative prediction for the creator industry in 2025?
I could take this one first. I think that in 2025, the rise of influencer brands are just going to skyrocket, especially after the whole TikTok ban fiasco. I think creators are going to start to try to diversify their business, and more brands are going to pop up. And it's not just going to be slapping their name on some merch or on cheaply made things, because now consumers are checking to see if products are really good. And that's going to be interesting for us brands to see if we want to partner with another creator who has skincare or beauty, or to see opportunities with these brands. Like, oh, if someone makes let's say a new water cup, like, are we going to jump on that first to partner with this influencer in their audience that they already created? So I think it's going to be the year of the influencer brands.
I love that you say that, Nikki. I just want to piggyback off of that because I don't know how provocative my thought is, but what I will say is I think that we are going to see a massive resurgence of all of the OGs that we once loved on YouTube that kind of went away. I think that as opposed to like the newer creators kind of changing the way that they are doing their short form content, we'll see a little of that, but I think that the OGs are just going to come back and take over, because just like Nael mentioned, it doesn't matter if you've been gone for 3 years. That audience is loyal. They love you. They want to come back and see you. And I think that nobody does long form the way that they do it. Like they've got it down pat. That is how they live. It's part of the way that they breathe every day. It's like, this is what they've got. And I think that it goes hand in hand with what Nikki is saying, because I think that those are the very same people that are going to be creating these influencer brands. Now that they have this experience and genuine knowledge of, their audience and what the appetite of the social audience is today, it's like, I know what you want and I'm going to produce it. And I think that it's all going to go hand in hand, and those OGs are going to come in and take over this year.
Oh, I love that prediction. Now I'm thinking about it, but I do think in line with all of that is in light of, the 12-hour, 18-hour TikTok ban that shut down that happened, not knowing what's going to happen after April 5th with certainty. I think it has, on both sides of the coin, gone for people to go, okay, maybe I need to diversify. Maybe I need to think about other things. From a brand perspective is, maybe we need to be thinking about things differently. I think by the end of the year, I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think we'll pivot away from any platform strategies. It's going to be creator, and it's like, it doesn't matter what it is. And we'll be working with creators to think about, this is our Instagram strategy with you, our TikTok strategy with you, our YouTube strategy with you, Snapchat, et cetera, versus, we need X number of TikTok creators, X number of Instagram creators, et cetera. I think we'll completely do away with that by the end of the year as creators diversify and think about going into other platforms like Substack, like other things. And as we know, it's more about the relationship. And as we as brands start thinking more about long-term ambassadorships and partnerships with creators as well. So I think it'll become more about that and your collective audience versus just one platform.
Yeah, I love that. We wanted to actually talk a little bit about how you're approaching creator relationships, because I think in the US, obviously, there's some looming questions about what will happen. And I think when you have to pivot an entire strategy, that can be a really difficult thing for brands, especially when so much performance comes from one specific platform. So I love to hear about how you're thinking about it. I think that many of the brands that we're working with are also thinking in a similar way. So it will be interesting to see. Time will tell. But I love your predictions. So thank you for sharing them with us. So we have wrapped our questions, and I believe we wanted to open it up for audience Q&A. Okay, first question from Olivia. If you are looking for long-term partnerships with influencers, ambassador type programs, what do you offer them outside of budgets if budgets are tight? Great question.
Yeah, I think the best programs that I've seen, and also that, we've tapped into, because I think so many of this started really with like affiliate programs and like people who are direct to consumer, whereas most of our brands are not. But I think we're really thinking about as access. So are you the first to know, the first to have access to some of the people we work with? Support. So especially if it's, creators that are about like rising up tiers or rising stars, and they're not necessarily mega or VIP yet. How can we support them on their career journey? So is it access to platforms, that they can't get because they haven't hit a certain, platform partnership level, but we can versus because of our relationships. I think those are some of the things that we're thinking about now in terms of offering, so that it does feel more like a relationship and a one-to-one versus, the other.
On the Neutrogena end, we have a collective of creators that we like to call the Neutrogena Network. It's like a long-term partnership with about 20, I think this year we're getting more creators, and we like to offer events like Coachella, Stagecoach. We have hangouts with them. We also do creator kits with them where we give them like selfie lights, tripods and all that good stuff. They have access to our scientists if they have any questions, they could definitely talk to them. Sometimes we chat with them about innovation, about our future products, get them really excited. And overall, it's just connecting directly with the brand, like just chatting with them. Sometimes we get their numbers and it's just a nice way to connect with them and offer them a one-on-one connection with the brand instead of just seeing the brand, they're also seeing us.
Fantastic advice.
Yeah, I'd agree with Nikki. I think from the Nix perspective, that's absolutely what we do. You're genuinely part of the Nix PM family. If you're a long-term partner of ours, you're invited to the office. We take them on our brand trips. It's, we have conversations and roundtables so you can speak directly to those that are behind the curtains to, actually give feedback, input, tell us how you're enjoying the products, different ways you're using it. Like it's a genuine, relationship. It's outside of just paid deliverables. So that's what I love the most about our long-term partnerships.
And I think we hear a lot from the creators that they want like a sneak peek behind the brand to understand the ethos and, behind the products. So I think anytime you can offer that to a creator, they're always way more likely to be invested in getting to know your brand. So fantastic advice. Next question. How do you feel about UGC content and integrating it into your wider strategies? Another good question. Thanks, Olivia.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Lana.
I was just going to say, I think it's part of the DNA of our brand. UGC is so important. It influences how we do campaign rollouts. It influences our always on content. Like a lot of it starts from UGC, and not only just the idea or thematic of what the creator is producing, but actually investing in those creators to then help be a part of our strategy even longer than what product it is that the product at hand, that they're discussing. I think that, UGC is part of our magic, and it's like what makes the social world go round. So I don't think that's going to ever change.
No, I don't think so. I think I would say it's a lot about, like you said, that's how you find your brand fans. That's how you find the people who are already talking about you and interested in you. It's like, it will always happen. And it's how do you lean into it to really help amplify everything else you're doing. And it's a great way to fuel like the continuous conversation and being relevant and proactive with everything that's happening, because it's not always just about this one product that I'm talking about right now. It has to be like the ongoing conversation around the brand and your launches and your heroes and things that consumers just happen to like about you.
Right.
Yeah, UGC on our end helps us to find new creators. One of our Neutrogena network members from last year we found through UGC. So it was a great way to, again, find those brand fans. And it also helps us to see exactly what's going on with our brand outside of the messaging that we're trying to talk about, like how people are using our products in different ways that we don't just talk about already.
Yeah, it's great advice. We talk to creators sometimes, and there's this question about how do we get recognized by brands? And it's, you should be tagging the brand. You should be showing them how you're using it, what you love, because the brands are watching. They want to find those advocates who, are super passionate about either the brand or, specific products.
Please tag. That's how we
tag. So last and final question for today. So with the creator industry constantly changing, how are you approaching your relationships with influencers or creators?
I think it's creator first. So it's like, we know things change. We know algorithms change. We know we're all impacted. I think that the thing is having the conversation, being open to conversations and really thinking about how do we build the right partnership versus, trying to move away from here's a brief, go do what this brief says. I think we know that things are changing and we recognize that it's, how do we partner together to do the best for both of us, for them as they grow their career and for us as we grow our brands and focus on conversion.
I'd agree with Nayal. I think that it's, having a genuine connection with those creators, the creators that we work with. And also, I think that even through the creators that we work with, that's how we learn about other creators. I think that they do a good job at, rallying around, one another to introduce, other creators to the brand. That's the whole purpose in driving those relationships. So I think that that's super important, and approaching our creator strategy as a very individualistic experience. So as opposed to going after, this group of creators that's activating this campaign, it's very in our programs are individualized. It's like, what platforms are you engaging with and are speaking on, and we know we're going to hit for you, one that is, becoming more and more relevant this year is Snapchat. I think that there's a lot of creators that are using Snapchat. So it's like, okay, if that's what you're feeling, let's figure out how we can work that into our overall strategy to access your audience. So I think approaching it as, individuals as opposed to a group, how we typically would group creators.
Yeah, I love it.
On the Neutrogena end, we're definitely trying to lean more into long-term partnerships. It's something that's very hard to do from the brand side, all the time, but it's something that we're really focusing on this year. We definitely have saw the return last year when we started to amp it up a bit. So this year, we're definitely leaning into that more. And similar to Lana, finding what creators like which different platforms. We have some creators that love our face, like Hydra Boost, and we really want their content to be genuine. So how could we make a long-term partnership with just Hydra Boost to work throughout few months or the year? So that's something we're definitely leaning into and excited to do.
Amazing. Thank you for all of the great advice. There was a ton of content that we covered today. I'm sure there are more questions that we haven't been able to cover, but let's give a big thank you to our wonderful panelists. So Nayal, Lana, and Nikki, thank you for joining us. If you're interested in connecting with them, we're including their social links here. Feel free to ask them more questions. Thank you also to everyone for joining us for today's panel. I know that we had 2 sessions, so if you're able to join both, thank you very much for joining and for your questions. It's fantastic discussion. And also, if you are a brand and you're interested in learning more about Traackr and how we can help scale your community, be sure to sign up for a demo. There's a little button at the top that says schedule a demo, and you can schedule some time with someone directly from our team. Lastly, if you're a creator who is joining us today and you're looking to collaborate with some of the fantastic brands that we work with, be sure to sign up to Studios. Studios is a way for you to connect directly with brands and where brands can discover you. So there's a link that you can access, but you'll be able to find new campaigns and new opportunities to collaborate with a wide variety of brands that we work with. So thank you all for joining us, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world.